From Field Pass Hockey Southern Command, this is the Inside the SPHL podcast. Here is your host, James Hayes.
Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the SPHL. Guess what? 3 weeks and hockey is back. SPHL hockey. Other hockey's already back right now. NHL preseason and all that, but that's not what you come here to hear about. The SPHL is back in 3 more weeks. October's finally here. Hockey season is very, very near. Didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it worked out anyways. But so I hope you guys are as pumped as I am. And as always, you know, I'm not going to make you sit here and listen to me. We're going to jump right into it. I got a guest. He's a returning guest. We had him on at the end of last season, came on and talked a little bit of playoff hockey with us. And without further ado, he is the voice of the President's Cup champion, Peoria Rivermen, Jason Ruff. Jason, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, James. I'm glad to be back on the show with you. Happy October to all of you and all of your guests here.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time we talked, it was right before the finals got going, and that's kind of where I want to start. I mean, you were sounding really confident going into that, and in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking Roanoke's knocked off 1 and 2. What's going to keep them from knocking off 3? But you know, I mean, you seemed confident about it, and you were right. You were absolutely right. Peoria handled business, and let's kind of talk a little bit about that before we jump into off-season stuff and everything else. I mean, what was that? Give me you had a front row seat to the whole series. I mean, walk me through it.
Well, the thing that I think really got Peoria through that finals was they had the it factor, and more importantly, they had the leadership. We were talking briefly a bit on air in game 1. Now, game 1 for Peoria did not work out the way that I think they would have wanted. Roanoke comes in to Carver Arena, takes a 2-0 lead. You couldn't ask for a better start for the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs on the road. And give them full credit, tip the cap. They did everything they needed to do. But immediate timeout comes. John Trudell has his group in the huddle. But I think more importantly, Eric Levine, who, if you remember when we were talking earlier, was pulled in the first round of the playoffs in favor of Jack Barry, the rookie out of Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. So Eric Levine pulls Jack Barry aside. At this point, Barry's given up 2 goals, and Eric just sets him down and says, look, our team is going to score. We're too good a team for that. We're going to be fine. All I want you to focus on is making the next save, because our team needs a big save. That's all you need to worry about right now. Don't worry about the scoreboard. Don't worry about anything else. Focus on making the next save. Rivermen coming out of that media timeout, they look like a completely different team, James. And I had a chance to talk to Eric Levine about that meeting in our off-season podcast that we've been hosting here in Peoria, the Dry Dock podcast. And he and I are both of agreement that series kind of turned on that media timeout. Maybe not necessarily just on that meeting, but definitely on that media timeout, because Jack Barry looked like a man possessed playing goaltender. He was stopping breakaway chances. He was stopping second opportunities. He held the line, allowed Peoria to get those next 2 and 3 goals over the course of the remaining game. And then he had a Marc-Andre Fleury-esque finish a la 2009 when the Penguins won that cup against Detroit. And the last waning couple of seconds just held off the Roanoke Rail Yard Dog in a mad scramble. And after that first game, I don't know why, I just knew it was like, they got it. And then, of course, game 2 happens. Peoria goes up 5-1 in the first period en route to what was essentially a rout of the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs in game 2 to go up 2-0. And you just had that feeling. I think everyone kind of knew in the locker room that I think it was going to happen. Yeah.
You take that 2-0 lead in that series, and it's a game changer. It's a tough hole. I mean, I know it's only 2 games, but I mean, it's only 2 games. I mean,
right.
It's a lot. And I thought what was most impressive is like you said, you know, Barry was not the workhorse all season long, and he came into the playoffs and he just stood on his head throughout the playoffs. And I mean, that was one of the better goaltending performances I've seen in the playoffs in quite some time in the SPHL. And it was just impressive. It was great.
I'll tell you what, he held the line in Roanoke. Both the game that Peoria lost, arguably they could have won had a bounce gone their way, but especially in Game 4. That first period of Game 4, Peoria was just not playing. They were playing like they were in the first period of Game 1.
Yeah.
And the whole reason that game did not get out of hand was because of Jack Barry. Rightfully so, won playoff MVP when all was said and done. But it was because of Jack Barry holding the line in those 2 Roanoke games that gave the Rivermen a chance to win. Think about this. In 2 of the 4 games in that finals, the Rivermen won that game after trailing in the first period.
That's right. I
forgot
about that.
It speaks to that resiliency that group had. It speaks to the leadership that group had. And it speaks to, I think, the belief that they could get it done. And you know what? Obviously, take advantage of some good opportunities. Marcel Godbout on the power play, cash money.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, all the way down to the final second. I mean, with that game-winning goal. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I mean, overtime was supposed to take a while, and nobody told JM that. And he's just like, all right, I'm ready to go home.
There's a funny story. So on our broadcast, we have a bit of a chat. We're on the Mixler app, and we have a bit of a chat going on. And some folks were saying, I actually hope the Rivermen come back for Game 5. I want to see us win the championship on home ice. These are some of the fans saying that. I'm thinking to myself, no, I do not. I will not be. You have to understand, I grew up a Chicago Blackhawks fan, and I grew up watching so many playoff overtime games in going into single, double, and triple overtime. The Blackhawks have probably taken 10 years off of my life just from watching playoff overtime hockey. I don't need the Rivermen adding to that.
Right, and it's even worse when you get into like the 3rd and 4th overtime, and you're like, oh my god! I mean, we're playing a second game.
In the back of my head, thinking like, oh my goodness, if this goes into like double overtime or triple overtime with a championship on the line here,
yeah.
Let's just put it this way: there were a lot of folks, myself included, that were very happy that thing ended 66 seconds in extra time.
Yeah, I imagine so. All the Peoria fans were happy. I know that.
Fans and definitely Jean-Guy Trudel. He told me afterwards on our podcast this season, he didn't have it at left wing. He was basically looking around, all right, who's going to play left wing? Because everyone was gassed. He was like, you're going to play left wing? You're going to play left wing? And Jean-Guy Trudel was actually looking down, and he didn't even see the goal go in. He was looking down, I think it was towards Alec Hagman, because I think he was going to be the next left winger on the next line change. All of a sudden, he looks up and he sees one-armed Cody Dion, because Cody Dion was one-armed Cody Dion coming right for him and hugging him, and that's when he realized we just scored and we just won the championship. From Jean-Guy's perspective, of course.
Yeah, that was great. That was whenever I had those. I think what I have 3 or 4 guys from the team on it after the season. I don't remember who all I had, but I know. I mean, I remember I had both the Alex. Anyways, they were talking about that goal and how they didn't even know. Like some of them didn't know at first. JM said he didn't know at first that it even went in. So yeah, that was it was good. And it's always cool, like that's what, as a sports fan, as a fan of the game, that's kind of the way that the fans want a game to end. They don't want to see a 5-1 blowout. I mean, an overtime win, even if it's 60 seconds in, I mean, nothing beats sudden death overtime. As a fan, I guess I should say, but I also, in the same way that you're saying it, sometimes too many overtimes you end up nail biting it. But when you got the story of the bragging rights like that, now the Peoria fans are like, yeah, we got it in overtime and we were never worried. I mean, that's what that's
exactly
that's what fans do. We were never worried about that.
It has shades of the 2010 Blackhawks Stanley Cup, the one where Patrick Kane scored from an impossible angle, and no one knew it was in the back of the net but him.
Yeah. Yeah, only Patrick Kane knew. He was celebrating alone. It didn't take long, but yeah, that's still one of my favorite clips to run back when it comes to playoff season in the NHL, because that's always something that they're showing on all the broadcasts. So but yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the off season. I mean, a lot of guys are coming back. You're replacing a lot of guys. I don't see I haven't seen Barry coming back. I don't see him on there. I feel like he might be. Say that again.
I believe Jack Barry is playing. Last we understood, he's playing in England or Great Britain, I should say, to be geographically correct, up in Nottingham. Alec Bear is going to be in the ECHL, as is JM Pietrowski. I'm sorry. L.A. Grissom, Zach Wilkie, Marcel Godbout. So there are a number of guys who rightfully so are getting a shot at the next level. But you also have a number of guys from that team coming back: Alec Hageman, Mitch McPherson, J.M. Pietrowski, the overtime championship hero, and of course Eric Levine. So you're going to have a good core, I think, of leadership quality guys in that locker room for the Rivermen this year. And I think that's going to be the key. That's going to be the backbone for the Rivermen in season number 41 as they look to defend their President's Cup title here.
Yeah. And Levine, he if he keeps playing, carrying the workload like he did last year, it's not going to take him long to break DeSalvo's record. Do you know off the top of your head how many games he's played?
Not off the top of my head, but I do know he's close to DeSalvo's record. I think he can get it in this season.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, and it doesn't seem like he's. I mean, I know he's been around for a while, but I don't know. It just seems like the man plays so many games that it was all right that he got some of the playoffs off.
Yeah,
it was all right because, like you say, he was still coaching from the bench, still a huge factor in the whole season. So you're not going to take anything away from it, right?
Right. No, you're not. You're not. But Eric, he actually has the all-time across all leagues Riverman record of consecutive games started with 20. No goaltender in the entire Peoria Rivermen history in all the leagues has ever started 20 games consecutively. He has that.
And that's just
a number of season records in the SPHL for the Peoria Rivermen. So his name is up there in terms of the all-time greats among Peoria Rivermen goaltenders. It was actually 50-50 this offseason about whether or not he was going to come back. I told him, it's like, hey, if you're not going to come back, come up in the booth because you'd be a heck of an analyst.
Yeah.
But he's decided to come back. He's ready to give it another go, and I'm excited to see. I think the key is going to be pairing him up with a Jack Barry-esque, a young goaltender who can, help shoulder some of that burden because, Eric Levine, great goaltender, excellent guy, exceptional athlete, but, he is in his getting into his mid-30s now.
Yeah.
Age catches up with the best of us, especially the goaltender position. So you need someone to be able to shoulder that load, and I think the Rivermen will do that. John Gee is a wizard at player acquisition, just in terms of getting guys that can not only fit his system but make an impact. And I have no doubt that the Rivermen are going to have a goaltender that are going to be another great tandem. Yes, we all would have loved to have Jack Barry back. Great guy, wonderful Riverman, also Big Ten hockey guy. So I'm a Michigan State grad, so I gotta stand for my Big Ten hockey folks. But the Rivermen and John Gee Trudell, player acquisition is not a concern. I'm fully confident that there's going to be another good goaltending tandem here in Peoria this year.
Oh yeah, I'm sure too. I mean, and like you say, like just the player acquisition, even if you just see the little holes that were filled last year, just players just picked up here and there and just put into little spots, and it was just quiet. Like nobody was really noticing it, I mean, and it's cool to see when a coach does that and just can quietly place somebody that's, not a big name, and then all of a sudden everybody knows who they are because they're winning a championship with the Rivermen. 3
key guys to that end I really want to point out that fit that description perfectly. L.A. Grissom, first and foremost, on the back end, came in mid-late, more towards the back half of the season. The first Roanoke series was, or rather the first Roanoke home series was his debut, and he just has a knack for scoring against the Rail Yard Dogs, apparently, because he scored a couple of really good goals his opening debut against Roanoke, and then all of a sudden he gets a couple of big goals against the Rail Yard Dogs in the finals. But he comes in, makes a big impact, really solidifies that deep core, plays with a passion, big body as well. Casey Kolcheski, who you know very well down in Birmingham, came in really late in the season, but one of those guys whose personality and impact makes you think you'd be forgiven for thinking he'd be with the Rivermen for a vast majority of the year. Great guy who's also coming back. And finally, Jordan Ernst, the forward, who came in late for the Peoria Rivermen this year, a longtime guy in John Gee's system. Took a while to get his feet back from under him, but man, oh man, did he come in clutch in the playoffs with the series clinching goal against the Quad City Storm on the only Rivermen power play they got on that third game, and he got it. He made the most of it, and I tell you what, there are a lot of memories made by the Rivermen here this season. That was one of them.
Yeah, that's those were perfect. Do you got a player that's been signed to this point that you're particularly looking forward to seeing how he can do this year?
You know what? He is actually a returner, but he didn't play much in the regular season, the playoffs. But Robert Holyoke got a little bit of seasoning in his SPHL debut. Is now at an off season to bulk up to work on his skills. He's someone that I would not be surprised if he breaks out and has a 20-goal season. Every year with Jean Guy Trudell, it seems like there's that one guy that in previous years, you'd be looking at his stats and think, I don't know if he's gonna. Maybe he'll be a third line guy, or maybe he'll do something on occasion. And then all of a sudden he breaks out and has a 20-goal season, is really a key linchpin. J.M. Pietrowski, Mitch McPherson were those guys for the Rivermen last year. Don't be surprised if Holyoke is one of those guys for the Rivermen this season. And I tell you what, with the number of guys that the Rivermen are going to have to replace, an Alec Bear, a Marcel Godbout, a Jordan Ernst as of right now, guys who were just so clutch, had so many goals. I mean, Marcel Godbout, last year's Rookie of the Year for the SPHL. Alec Bear, league MVP and scoring leader. That's a lot of offense to replace.
Playoff MVP in Barry. I mean, a lot of hardware in Peoria last year. A lot of it. So,
indeed.
Yeah, definitely. So that's but yeah, Holyoke's a big guy. He's a big body too. He's listed at 6'4", 220. So that's always nice to have a guy have a big body like that. And yeah, I mean I think that's going to be one I'm going to keep my eye on now that you said that. Is Cody Dion coming back in any? I know not as a player probably, but is he coming back in any role with the team this year?
As of right now, that's still a question mark. I know he's not coming back as a player. Whether or not he's coming back on a bench role, I can't answer to that as of right now.
No,
okay. Right now, pencil that as a no with a question mark, because with Jean Guy, a lot of former players come back and help out. That's one of the good things about not only Peoria hockey, but in hockey in general. It's a family. It's a very small world, and everyone. You're never an island, especially when you're a head coach. You're never an island. You're always reaching out to people and either bounce ideas or asking for a helping hand. So who knows? But as of right now, nothing to indicate that Cody Dion will be coming back. Which is, it's unfortunately a great guy, really good student of the game. Might be a coach at one point. Who knows? But
yeah, I was just thinking.
Right now, not yet.
We were talking big bodies, and that instantly popped into my head because he's a massive man.
Very massive.
And so, so Hageman's coming back for another year, and I mean, he almost seems like the Tom Brady of the SPHL. He's not aging. Every year he's still producing, and that's not how this is supposed to work. When you hit your 30s as a hockey player, you're an old man, and that goes the same for Levine. But Hageman stands out in that. I mean, what do you? I mean, am I off? I mean, I might be giving.
No, I mean, I've never heard the Tom Brady before. I'm going to tell him you said that though, by the way, and see how he takes that. But I mean, he's kind of like that Chris Chelios kind of deal.
There you go.
You get into your 30s, you're still producing. You're still maybe not in the same way, but the thing with Hageman, he's still finding ways to produce in the same ways that he was in previous years. And here's the thing you got to remember: he's a back-to-back President's Cup champion,
right?
And there are a couple guys on this Rivermen roster that are going to be back-to-back President's Cup champions. So the thing about that, I mean, Alec Hageman, he is the full package. Community relations, scoring, leadership, hard-nosed physical guy. He is the linchpin of this Rivermen organization, and rightfully so. Native guy, born and raised. We did recently, we had our season tickets be delivered to some of our season ticket holders, and we had Alec Hageman going out and delivering some of those season tickets. And just the joy that our season ticket holders had, seeing him out in the community, him hand delivering those tickets to him, you should have seen their faces light up like a Christmas tree, or like a jack-o'-lantern scene as we're in October.
Yeah. Wrong month. So. Wrong month. No.
Never too old for Christmas. I mean, Hallmark movies are still coming on.
Yeah.
I thank my mom for watching all of those. So.
That's right. I think I've seen most of them too. Well, I guess they make new ones every year. There's about 50 new ones every year. So.
Yes, I believe they do. But getting back to Alec Hageman, that's kind of what you get. That sturdy warhorse that's just going to get you through thick and thin. That's the best way I can describe him.
Yeah. Whenever he was the first announced signing this offseason, wasn't he? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes,
and when I seen that, I was like, all right, we're gonna see him one more time, and the rest of the league is gonna fan base. I'm gonna say I don't know that the players hate him. I feel like players hate each other on the ice, but off the ice it's a whole different story. But the fan base has another year of hating on him. They don't have to try to figure out who they hate. I was joking with Joel Silverberg last week. I said, what's going to happen when Hageman retires? Who is everybody going to hate? I mean, who's going to take that spot?
I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't.
Guys retiring from Huntsville too. Maybe Joe Sova up in Quad.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't heard. Is he coming back again this year
in the league? Joe Sova.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if Kolcheski sticks around long enough, he's got that personality that you love him on the team and you hate him away from it.
You know who could, if he comes back, he's signed with the ECHL, but he could. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and if he stays long enough. Zach Wilkie.
Yeah,
he's another guy who I'm really hoping. I'm hoping for. I'll be honest. I'm hoping for all the guys who went to the ECHL to come back, just because I'm selfish that way.
Right.
But he's another guy that, if he comes back, that'd do wonders for the Peoria decor, and he has that personality where he just loves to just get fans riled up one way or the other. But the thing with the fans and Hageman, I laugh because if he's on your team, they love him.
Right.
Like Pensacola, I've heard stories from Pensacola fans and for people who talk to Pensacola fans who they really liked Hageman when he was on his team, but now that he's not, then he is what he is. He's the guy you love to hate. You love him, hate him, as long as he's not playing against you.
Right. That's exactly it. That's how I think that's how you know as a player that whenever everybody knows your name, that's how you know you kind of made it.
Yep.
In that thing.
Exactly.
Whether they're saying your name with good things behind it or bad things behind it, everybody remembers who you are. So that's
and only the second American to reach the 300 career SPHL points club did it this past year.
Yeah, so see, and he's got a bunch more records he can probably try to break. I think, Jason Price is gone now, so he might be the longest standing player in the league right now. I don't know. I might have to check on that one.
I think he's a little couple players behind that.
Yeah,
not quite there, but
active players, I guess I should say.
Among active, yes.
Yes.
I believe he is the longest tenured among active. But overall, he's still going to have to put in a couple more seasons for that.
Yeah, he's going to play it, like I said, Tom Brady of the SPHL. He's going to play into his 40s. He's
going to announce his retirement, and then he's going to say, you know what? I'm going to come back.
That's right.
Be like Mike Gertler.
Yeah.
Who announced his retirement, then came back to win a championship with the Rivermen.
Yeah, but he did it right. So I don't know. Right. But see, I guess we can count Hageman's trip to Pensacola as his, when Tom Brady went to Florida. But see, Hageman came back, so he's back in Peoria. So I mean, it's similar. People are going to hate me for this comparison. I can already see people who have already turned off the podcast that were listening to it right now. If they were, I mean. It's I'm going to get comments on the YouTube page and they're going to be like, what are you thinking? But hey, I got to say something to get people interacting with me.
That's right.
So what are your expectations for the year? I mean, where do you see this team going? I mean, it's tough to repeat. It definitely is, but it's not undoable.
Exactly. It's very tough. The hardest thing in sports to do is repeat as a championship. That's regardless of sport. But like you said, it is possible. And as we said kind of at the top of the show, I think this team, the sooner that the roster gets kind of molded into where Jean-Guy Jadel wants it, at least in terms of the core, not totally, because Jean-Guy, I kind of liken him to the John Cooper of the SPHL. He's constantly moving guys around. He knows how to get the most out of the guys he needs. And when he doesn't have a piece that he needs, then he'll switch one out and get what he needs. But the sooner the core group, I think, of this roster gets finalized and set, the better this team is going to be. The biggest question mark I have right now for the Peoria Rivermen, though, outside of how you're going to replace the ridiculous amount of scoring that you're not getting from Marcel Gabout and Alec Bear, just in those two guys alone, is the decor. You're going to, as of right now, I believe the Rivermen only have one man signed from that decor. That one's Dale Dion. They're probably going to have a second one coming, which is going to be a big help. But that decor is going to be, I think, the biggest question mark as a total position group for the Peoria Rivermen here this season. The sooner the Rivermen get that situation set, they'll be in a very good place. Because arguably, I mean, everyone looked at the forwards. Everyone looked at the goaltending for Peoria. But what no one was looking at was the decor, just how steady they were. So many solid deep guys. Like Nick Neville was top 3 in plus minus last year.
Yeah, it was a good core. Like exactly. I mean, the points are what kind of disguised all that. It's kind of like the Colorado Avalanche. You don't really recognize how. Well, I mean, they have Kale McCarr, but you didn't recognize how defensive sound they were, and until you took a step back and looked at it. So
right, and there was never a Joe Sova-esque guy on that decor that would just sit from the point and bomb it and get a bunch of goals and lead the league in D scoring. There was no, it was kind of a D scoring by committee, but they were so defensively sound and so defensively set. They were when they were playing their game, they were very hard to play against. And I think that was key because they didn't have to get all the goal scoring. They had a bunch of their forwards.
Right.
They had depth of scoring up front, so they didn't need to be the guys. They just had to play good, solid, sound defensive hockey, and that's what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, on any given night, you know, the three lines could be the top line of the night. I mean, it was fun to watch, and there was a slow start to the season. I'll say it seemed fairly slow, but it picked up, and when it did, I mean, it was the sky is the limit. But so let me ask you this kind of question, going back a little bit into the season. What was the feeling around just the city, the team, everything when the Rivermen finally won that? I mean, always the bridesmaid, never the bride up until last year. I mean, what was the atmosphere? What was that like?
Electric. And you could tell it started really after game 2, and the Rivermen took that 2-0 series lead against Roanoke. I said on the air, these fans are hoping that this is going to be the last game of the 40th season here at Carver Arena. And thankfully for them, it was. But you could just hear them chanting, "We want the cup. We want the cup." Even the guys afterwards because the Rivermen immediately packed up the bus and started the trip out to Roanoke. That bus was buzzing about how just electric that crowd was. And we're very fortunate here in Peoria to have such a solid core in terms of our fan base, our season ticket holders, which has only grown this year in anticipation of season 41. But when the biggest thing that was shocking to me, no, not shocking, but really enjoyable, was the parade afterwards. It was a dreary day, overcast, slightly rainy, but people were still lining the streets to see the Rivermen riding the fire trucks that the fire department here in Peoria was kind enough to lend us, and then really had a really solid turnout for the post games, the post championship ceremony where everyone introduced the cup and introduced the team. Had a couple of key signatory speakers. Peoria mayor showed up, and then you had an autograph session. James, that line for autographs stretched around the concourse.
Wow.
Around the entire concourse. The autograph session was only supposed to last, I believe it was an hour. It lasted for 3 hours.
Wow. That's awesome.
So that gives you a sense of how ecstatic I think everyone was about winning that championship, bringing the first championship for Peoria hockey in 22 years, but also about how, and I really credit our organization for being able to do this, of including everyone into the process. I'll tell you a quick story. After game 2, there was a booth outside the entrance here where fans could, take pictures and write letters to the players. Like you remember that scene in Miracle where the Team USA is walking out and they have all the telegrams and the letters from all the fans of Team USA and they're tapping. Some similar to that. We had a booth set up where people could write, good luck, we're behind you, bring back the championship. And we brought that with us on the road and set that up in the locker room and had fans take pictures with their signs and set that up in the locker room. One of my favorite was Marcel Godbout's grandmother. Her sign says, "Marcel, use your shot, grandma." Not I love you, just Marcel, your shot.
Straight to the point.
Straight to the point. And you know what? He used his shot to power goal and forced overtime in game 4.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, making people feel included. It's not just the guys on the ice, the people in the front office, or the folks on the bench. It's everyone. It's the fans in the stands. It's the diehards with the horns and the people who dress up in crazy outfits. Trust me, there are a lot of them here that come to games. The folks that get loud, the folks who travel to the games, whether they be in Quad City or even in Roanoke. We had a number of fans make the travel. It's everyone. It's all inclusive. It's the Peoria hockey family. It's the community that everyone feels like they're all pulling for something. They're all pulling for the same goal. And I think that's what really makes hockey here in the River City so much special. So special among not only in the SPHL, but among all leagues. It really is a family environment here that encapsulates the entire city.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like hockey's foreign to, like you said, 40 years of Rivermen hockey. It wasn't all in the SPHL. I mean, there's just a rich tradition of Rivermen hockey going on, and so yeah, a lot of those fans have been there since the Rivermen were the affiliate of the St. Louis Blues.
Yep.
I mean, it's awesome to see that, and I mean, a lot of teams around the league are like that. You know, they got in Birmingham there was ECHL and WHA teams, and Wayne Gretzky was supposed to come and play for the Bulls. I hear that story quite often, but it didn't work out for. Could you imagine? I'm getting off topic here, but have you heard that story?
I have not. Well, take that back. I heard rumblings about it, but I didn't hear the whole story.
So I'm gonna screw it all up, but supposedly the final two things were between Edmonton and the Bulls, and then whenever the merger happened, something along those lines, his dad told him to go play for Edmonton or something like that is what ended up happening. But he supposedly, and now I don't know. I mean, obviously I wasn't there in it or anything, but supposedly there was a chance. Could you imagine if Wayne Gretzky was playing hockey in Birmingham, Alabama? I mean, could you imagine?
He would have rolled everyone.
I mean, we probably wouldn't be talking right now, and I probably wouldn't even be doing this because there's no way they'd let me talk about an NHL team. But I mean, that
would have put hockey in the South and the Deep South on the map,
right?
Because when Wayne Gretzky left Edmonton to go to LA, that put West Coast hockey on.
Oh, absolutely.
Then, like, people look at the West Coast teams like the Golden Seals and the Kings and whatnot. Like, whatever. And that was back when the Kings had the LA Lakers colors.
Yeah.
Those jerseys, I'm not a fan of those jerseys.
They were rough.
Bother your fans by saying that. I'm sorry, I just don't. But Wayne Gretzky going to LA, the guy in hockey going to Showtime LA.
Yeah.
That put Western hockey on the map. Think about it. If he goes to Birmingham, that puts Southern hockey on the map.
Yeah, no matter where he would have gone, it was going to grow the game so crazy, and it was cool. I mean, and it's cool that it worked out the way it did too, because I'm glad there's hockey in California because it makes the NHL bigger. Not that I want to go to California because I like this side of the country a little bit better. I used to live on that side of it. I'm done with it. I spent 30 years there. So.
Too many earthquakes out there.
Yeah, exactly. But no, and I totally got off topic and started talking about Wayne Gretzky. But I mean,
so Wayne though,
right. I just wonder if a lot of, because every once in a while that story will pop up on one of my social media feeds or something, and I should know it by heart as many times as I've read it, but I totally screwed it up. Maybe someday I'll have a Wayne Gretzky segment on the podcast and I'll tell the whole story as I read it.
Maybe one day you'll get Wayne Gretzky on here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, aim big, bud. Aim big.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna try to get it. Maybe I should shoot for I don't know. If you start at Gretzky and then you just work your way down from there. That's a good idea. And he's working in Atlanta. It's right down the road from me. So
there you go. Make the call.
That's right. I could only imagine what that would look like whenever he sees a request to come on a SPHL podcast. But
you never know.
Yeah. But absolutely. But I don't know. I totally lost track of where we were at. But I
believe we were talking about the hockey community here in Peoria after winning the President's Cup championship. And I tell you what, everyone's excited about season number 41. Like I mentioned earlier, our season ticket holder base has just ballooned up. Everyone's excited for our home opener. Heck, I've got half my entire extended family coming down because now they're so excited.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea how excited people are that permeates far beyond Peoria. It's gonna be really fun, and the fact that the Rivermen are playing Quad City that weekend, first in their barn for their home opener in the Quad Cities, and then down here for our home opener is just gonna make it even better.
Yeah, start that rivalry off right off the bat. I love it.
Well, you know what, and I'm gonna say this. I really think they could be the team to beat in the league this year.
Really?
Because they're bringing back almost everyone.
Yeah,
they were, and yes, John Guy Trudell, Quad City was the best team man for man in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, that was one of the better series, I would have to say, out of all of them. I mean, Roanoke kind of just walked through everybody. It seemed like on the other side.
That's right. And then nothing away from Rona, taking nothing away from them. They were absolutely a quality team. They really deserved to be in that finals, and they had a shot to win that cup. Trust me, they did a lot of things right. But again, talking with Jean-Guy Jadel, talking with other folks, and I agree with this sentiment. I think Quad City was in the playoffs last year, man for man, the best team, and arguably they could have just as easily gone on to win the President's Cup had that second round gone differently.
Yeah, that makes me excited. So now to see some Quad City. I like it whenever I want all the teams to be competitive this year. Last year we had 3 lesser competitive teams, and I'm not going to name any names, but Birmingham, Macon, Vermilion County, you know who I'm talking to. But
say you weren't going to name names.
So, yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really name any. No, so that's good, and I like Quad City. It's still a fairly new. I know they're not brand new, but they're still a fairly new franchise to the league. And last year was groundbreaking but it was a breakthrough season for the organization. And so if you feel that they're that way, that's good to hear, because that means there's another team that's going to keep this thing going.
Absolutely. And I know there's a big rivalry between the Rivermen and Quad City. It permeates all things, but you got to show respect at the end of the day. And I really respect Quad City both as an organization, as a team, really well coached. Again, and I just really, looking at the guys they're bringing back, I really think that they are going to be the team to beat, maybe in the entire league, certainly in this part of the country. So the games between Peoria and Quad City are going to be, I think, some of the best hockey games that we're going to see here this season, potentially in the entire league. Now, obviously, you're going to have a lot of good games going on throughout the entirety of the league, but I'm really, really excited for a team that's a defending President's Cup championship team that always comes out to play, that always has a good squad because of Jean-Guy Jadel and the leadership core. And you've got a Quad City team who were close last year. They just missed it by the skin of their teeth. Yeah. Came down to a final game 3 on the road, and they could have won it, but they didn't. And they were so close last year. That group's all back. They're going to be hungry. Their fans are going to be hungry. It is just going to be, I think, it's going to be Blackhawks Blues 1980s, 1990s-esque.
Yeah, that'll be great.
And I can't tell you how excited I am for it.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm ready for it too. I mean, it's going to be good. And then you got to know that bringing back as many guys as they are, that they have that feeling of unfinished business, and they get to start with the team that took them out. So this opening weekend is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. It's going to be good. Mm-hmm. But
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be good. But I don't think I got anything else, man. I think I've taken up enough of your time. I'm definitely going to have to get you to come back on later on this season.
Absolutely.
And do some more talking. But like I said, I appreciate you coming on now and kind of giving us a look into what Peoria's got and a look back to the championship run. And I wish you and the whole Rivermen organization the best of luck moving into this season.
Absolutely, James. Thanks for having me on. Can't wait to be on next time. And best of luck to you and your podcast. Hope you get Wayne Gretzky on.
That's right. All right, man. Thank you. All right. Well, there you have it. Jason Ruff, the voice of the Peoria Rivermen. So if you're not pumped up about hockey after that interview, I don't know what's going to pump you up about it. I mean, this is going to be a great season. And it's starting out, like I said, Quad City and Peoria, they Peoria ended Quad City's season last year, and so maybe Quad City's got a little chip on their shoulder. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see what's going on. But that's about it. Like I said, I need you guys' input. I always ask you guys to say something. So I am thinking about doing a live podcast from training camp. Obviously, mine will be at the Bulls training camp, but bringing in guests from around the league for little short, 5-10 minute segments. and in their respective areas of training camp. And let me know if that's something you guys would like. It would be like, a Saturday morning one, Saturday afternoon, somewhere along those lines, where whatever would work. It's not going to be and of course you could always go back and watch it, but let me know, is that something you guys would watch? I mean, heck, you guys could even ask questions throughout the show if it's live, probably. So leave me a comment wherever you see this posted. If there's a comment section, leave me a comment. If you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of that stuff, hit me up on Twitter at FPH Bulls. Tell me what you think. Do you think it's a good idea? Should we do this? Should we try to make it work? That is it. That's all I got for you right now. Make sure you tune back in next week for another great episode. Make sure you download the Field Pass Hockey app, and make sure you check out everything on our website. Like I keep saying, we are the premier source for minor league hockey. I proclaim that myself. I don't think it's saying it anywhere else, but hey, that's what I say. Anyways, enough mumble. That's it. I will see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the Inside the SPHL podcast. Got a topic you'd like discussed? Follow James on Twitter at FPH Bulls. For the latest news on the SPHL and the rest of minor league hockey, download the Field Pass Hockey app, now available in the Apple and Android app stores.